Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Tenopa Tishta Jidru Sutokayo Mebawa Mebawa Anura Mebawa Sarva Siddhi Me Prayasan Sarva Karma Sutsame Citam Shriyam Kuruhum Ha 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 ho Bhagawa Sarva Tathagata Vajramame Munsa Vajrabhava Maha Samaya Sattva Ahum Pe Ehoshu Soha Yamo Shude Shude Soha Ramo Shude Shude Soha Shude Soha Bamo Shude Shude Soha Eyam Ram Lam Bam Shude Shude Soham Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakya Muni Soham Om Ye Dharma Hetum Prabhava Hetun Teshan Tathagato Teshan Chayo Niroda Evam Vadi Mahashrama Nayeso Onchanam Tamche Gyule Jung Tegyu Deshin Shekbesum Gyula Gokpa Kaimba Gechon Chembo Deke Chembo Chingilo Gechon Chembo Drup Sol Gechon Chembo Trashisho. In our path to enlightenment, three qualities that we need to develop, three aspects of the path that we need to develop, okay? Which are called, we could say somehow, there are many ways how we can divide it, but one way is to say we have to accumulate merit, to purify our negativities, and to develop our qualities in the path. Actually, the part of accumulation of merit and purification is very important, but only to purify is not enough. It's not that we do the purification of our negativities and that's enough on our path. No, this is one part of the path that is important, but it's not everything. It's just one important part of the path. One of the reasons why we need to purify is because if we have too many negative karmas, we cannot sustain situations. The conditions, it doesn't matter how good conditions we have, we're never able to be happy. Difficulties always happen. Sometimes we look at some people and they say, oh, things always go wrong. Like, try to do things, all conditions are good, and still things happen, It's like, some of us we may call bad luck. But basically, it's some negative karma that has ripened, and until that karma is not finished, you're going to be in that situation. So, before we get to situations like this, better we purify. Because one of the reasons also, when we don't have the merits, even if all the conditions are perfect, we still cannot be happy. If we look how often how many people we can see that have all the conditions really to be well, and still are complaining here, complaining there. Okay, one part is the habit of suffering. On the other side, there is also the lack of merits to sustain a state of happiness. Okay? Some people may even get nervous by the fact that everything is okay. How can everything be fine? That's not possible, you know. So I must find something that is wrong somewhere, because then I can blame something in someone. You know? So the fact is that really to purify our negativities, to purify the negative actions we have done, it's so good, because by that, it's like taking away heaviness from our shoulders and being able to experience the conditions in a better way. This is also the fact of accumulating merits. Accumulating merits is the positive causes that we accumulate, the opposite of negative actions. No? Like planting the right seeds, planting the medicine seeds, not the poison seeds. By having the merits, then we are able to sustain mental stages of consciousness that are beneficial for us. If we don't have enough merits, we are not able to maintain these states of consciousness. We develop a great state of bliss and joy and happiness and love and faith and so on. Oh, that's so wonderful. Then suddenly what happened? It fades away. We're not able to keep it. One of the reasons is lack of merits. So it's very important also for us to accumulate merits to sustain our path. So this is one of the important things in our path, that is daily, to purify our negativities, to accumulate merit. One of the other aspects that is also very important in the purification of our negativities is actually to help us to eliminate our negative habits. Because great part of what we do is based on habits, you know. We have many habits are things that we do, not through a conceptual thinking. That they just come because we have done it for such a long time. They just, after some time, it comes spontaneously. We have the habit of suffering. We have the habit of blaming others. Some of us, we have the habit of being a victim. We have many different habits that we create. You know? So by looking at ourselves every day and saying, what am I doing? And recognizing what is not good, slowly, and with love and compassion towards ourselves, not feeling guilty. Not like blaming ourselves and feeling guilty for what we have done. No. It's like really embracing ourselves and saying, okay, I take care of myself. This is not the right attitude. This is not good for me. I will not repeat it again. So, by that, what we do is that gradually we are able really to change our behavior. So, this is really something that makes a big difference in our life. Every day to do practices of purification. Then the other part of the practice is that to familiarize ourselves with our qualities, such as love and compassion and wisdom, and to abandon our negativities, such as hatred, aversion, attachment, and so on. So by doing that, we slowly develop our qualities. But the accumulation of merits and the purification, they are very important as a basis in order to be able to grow on the path. The practice of purification is not something that was done is known for beginners. This is something that is needed. Everyone is doing them. As we go along the path, actually what we want to purify becomes more and more subtle. As we become more aware of ourselves, as we grow into the path to enlightenment, what will happen is that gradually we recognize mistakes that before we couldn't recognize. We recognize attitudes and habits that before we could not recognize. And here we divide into two things, which we call negative actions and downfalls. The downfalls are when we have a commitment and we are not able to keep our commitment. It's something that by its own nature is not negative, but in the moment that we did a commitment and we were not able to keep it, we are somehow generating a negative karma of not keeping our commitment. Okay. So, for example, if I make a commitment, a vow, that I will always smile to everyone, then I don't smile, that's a small downfall. If I have the commitment and always never to lose compassion of others, when I don't have compassion of someone, this is the downfall. There are many vows, commitments that we can create. When we don't keep our commitments, that's a downfall that we have. So we also purify that. So, one of the practices that we are going to do, and I want now just to really to go through the practices, because we still have 3 practices to explain and to do when we don't have that much time. We don't have no hurry, but we don't have that much time. And I want to do the practices together. And one of the practices is the confession, or openly admitting our mistakes and downfalls to the 35 Buddhas. This is a practice that is very, I don't know exactly where it's coming from, to be sincere. I was looking for a commentary on this practice to read it, but I couldn't find it these last days. But it's a practice that exists in all the traditions of Mahayana Buddhism. Like, at least in Tibet, we have in the Nyingma, Kagyu, Sakya, Gelu, all of them have. It's a practice that Lama Tsongkhapa used to do a lot. He had a special vision of the 35 Buddhas as he was doing it, and he has doing this practice combined with prostration. So Lama Tsongkhapa, when he did his retreat before gaining realizations, because the way how he manifested himself was actually of having all the intellectual understanding, but not actually realizing deeply the teaching, especially on the correct view of reality. So he did a practice, he did a whole retreat of 1.5 years, more or less, in order to accumulate merits and to purify negativities. And one of the main practices he did for purification was the confession of the 35 Buddhas, okay, that we have here. And during this, he was doing prostration together with that. I think he did 1 million and something prostrations as doing this practice also, okay? So if Lama Tsongkhapa was doing it, I don't think why we can feel very special not to purify our negativities, no? I think it's really something that is there for everyone to do. So the image of the 35 Buddhas of confession, we have them, drawn above the door. There is this image with Buddha Shakyamuni in the middle and all these Buddhas on the two sides. That's the 35 Buddhas. We are preparing a little postcard for everyone, so it was for us to have also these images. And this practice, it's very beautiful because first it goes through the part of prostration, and then after that, it goes through the part of really acknowledging our own negativities, openly admitting them, generating the commitment not to repeat again, rejoicing from the positive aspects, and dedicating our merits. Okay? So we will go through this practice now. I think it's very simple to understand its meaning. We'll just read once together, and then after we go through the commentary of it. Okay? I will read for you once, and then after we go through the commentary of it. So we go here on page number 20. So what we will do now, we visualize that above my head is my own root guru, Kyabche Lama Ganche Rinpoche. Above him is Kyabche Trijang Rinpoche. Then above Trijang Rinpoche, Papunka Rinpoche. And like this we go on up to Lama Tsongkhapa and Buddha Shakyamuni. From the heart of each one of them is coming like light, connecting the heart of everyone, and then coming from my heart and going to your heart as we do the transmission. Okay? So first we do the request of the transmission. Sa shi pege chushi meto tran rirav linshe nide gemba de sangye shindo migde uwargi roku namda shingla chuparasho yedam guru ratna mandrala kam niryatayami Tonsha nye tu da tu lama la kyebsu chiyo, sangye la kyebsu chiyo, chola kyebsu chiyo, gendu la kyebsu chiyo. Tenpa chimden de deshin sheba dra chumba yang dabar sobe sangye pe kyewa shake tu bala cha zilo den sheba dorji nipo. Rabdu chumba la cha zilo den sheba rinche vudru la cha zilo den sheba lu wangi kya bala cha zilo den sheba pava de la cha zilo den sheba pe kye la cha zilo den sheba rinche me la cha zilo den sheba rinche dawa la cha den sheba tuma tuyo la cha zilo den sheba rinche dawa la cha zilo den sheba tima me bala cha zilo den sheba pe chen la cha tsamba la cha zilo den sheba tsampe chen la cha zilo den sheba chula la cha zilo den sheba chule la cha zilo den sheba pe sang la cha zilo den sheba tsende pe la cha zilo den sheba si chi taya la cha den sheba uyo pe la cha zilo den sheba nyange me pe la cha zilo den sheba Timiki pula chasro den shiva medo bella chasro den shiva vese number bengombar kembala chasro den shiva peme vese number bengombar kembala chasro den shiva nor bella chasro den shiva rime bella chasro den shiva tsembe shindu yondra la chase lo den shiva wampo to ki gyansin gyambula chasro den shiva shindu number nime bella chasro den shiva yule shindu number gyawala chasro den shiva number nube shiva bella chasro den shiva kune nama kube bella chasro den shiva rinche pema number numbala chasro den shiva drachuma yanda var sobe sange rembo mala rabdu shuva rewange gyawala chase lo
Deata la sobe chu chu chik den ke kam dam che na den shiba dra chuma yang da bra zobe sange chum den de kan chi nye chi shu so shin shibe sange chum den de da tam che da la gong su sol. Da ge kewa di da kewa toma tama ma chi ba ne korwa na korwe kene tam che tu dikpa gewe. Dikpa mi gewe le giba dan ki tu tse wa dan giba la je su ira wa che den ki koran gendo ki koran cho chu gendo ki kotro ba da. Chodo chubadan chobala jesu irawa tsama chiba ngele gibadan gidu tsewadan gibala jesu irawa ami gewe chui legi lamyan dabara lamwala shubadan chodo tsewadan chobala jesu irawa legi driba kange drimne simche nyawarcha simche nyawar chiwa tundu kene su chiwa ida yudu chiwa ida yudu kewa yuda kodu kewa lase rimbo namsu nyesu kewa pa wambo ama tsama gyurwa lawa tawa lobar zimba gyurwa sange chungwa la nyebar mi gyurwe legi Legi driba kan la dida tam che sange chumnen de yeshe su gyurba chintu gyurba pandu gyurba tsemar gyurba kemba sije kemba sikpa o kemba sikpa dida che ngar tolo shakso mi chabo mi beto lenche kyan chuchin dombar gila so sange chumnen de dida tam che dala gongso so dagi kewa dida kewa toma tamama jiba ne korwa na korwa ke ne shenda tu Jemba dana tundo kene su gyuro wala segam chisa jembe gewe tsawa kan la badan dagi tsuki turin rumbe gewe tsawa kan la badan dagi tsambar chebe gewe tsawa kan la badan dagi simche yonsu mibar gewe tsawa kan la badan dagi chancho chodo sim gewe tsawa kan la badan dagi lana mebe yesheki gewe tsawa kan la badan Teda tamche chikdo dumshi dumde nona dumde lana machi badan kone ya koma koma o kona machi badan kome ya kome kome Lama yonsu ngove lana me bayan dabar sobe janju tu yonsu ngovar ki wo Chedara debe sange chumnen de namge yonsu ngova dan chedar tumandu Chedara majongwe sange chumnen de namge yonsu ngovar kirwa dan chedar tada shube sange chumnen de namge yonsu ngovar zeba teshin tu dage kya yonsu ngovar ki wo Depa tamche nyesu sorsha sonam tamche kla sonam tamche lani che suirango Sangye tamche lani kushin sowa deso dage lana mebe yeshe ki che damba topra gyur chi Mie cho gyawa kanda dada shubada kanda debe dada deshe kama jo yonde nga bata ye keso dragon la tamo jarwa ki de keso Nye wara chi wo kanya yege nam som te luge le ni namba som Nga nye namba shida ni mige chubo sosro sha toma mene ta de bar mige chudan tsame Semni nyomo wangyur pe dikpa tamche sosro sha tsame nga bodat Tame nga bodagi dikpa nam kange mishe wange cheba Tenyang tungwa shaba di ju pe nyurdu malu yonsu changwar shom Ngonche kege kalede tani jiba che toane kila kyabsu chila che jiba nyurdu tsadu su Jiba nyurdu tsadu su tusu wange kosum dikpele Miga mige chudan tsame nyeba nga sosor tardan gyase rikzingi Lapsu nyamba tamche tolo sha
He's first taking refuge, then doing the prostrations to the 35 Buddhas. Then there's the part of openly admitting our mistakes, rejoicing of the virtuous actions, dedicating our merits for the enlightenment of other sentient beings. This is basically what is in here. So it starts. Throughout all times, I take refuge in the Guru, I take refuge in the Buddha, I take refuge in the Dharma, and I take refuge in the Sangha. To the founder, Bhagavan Tathagata, Arhat, perfectly completed Buddha, glorious conqueror, Shakyamuni Buddha, I prostrate. To the Tathagata, throughoutly destroying with Vajra essence, I prostrate. To the Tathagata, radiant jewel, I prostrate. To the Tathagata, king, lord of the Nagas, I prostrate. To Tathagata, army of heroes, I prostrate. To Tathagata, delighted hero, I prostrate. To Tathagata, jewel fire, I prostrate. To Tathagata, jewel moonlight, I prostrate. To Tathagata, meaningful to see, I prostrate. To Tathagata, jewel moon, I prostrate. To Tathagata, stainless one, I prostrate. To Tathagata, bestowed with courage, I prostrate. To Tathagata, pure one, I prostrate. To Tathagata, bestowed with purity, I prostrate. To Tathagata, water god, I prostrate. To Tathagata, deity of the water god, I prostrate.
To Tathagata, glorious goodness, I prostrate. To Tathagata, glorious sandalwood, I prostrate. To Tathagata, infinite splendor, I prostrate. To Tathagata, glorious light, I prostrate. To Tathagata, sorrowless glory, I prostrate. To Tathagata, son of non-craving, I prostrate. To Tathagata, glorious flower, I prostrate. To Tathagata, pure light rays, clearly knowing and by play, I prostrate. To Tathagata, lotus light rays, clearly knowing by play, I prostrate. To Tathagata, glorious wealth, I prostrate. To Tathagata, glorious mindfulness, I prostrate. To Tathagata, glorious name, widely renowned, I prostrate. Tathagata, king holding the victory banner of foremost power, I prostrate. To Tathagata, glorious one, totally subduing, I prostrate. To Tathagata, utterly victorious in battle, I prostrate. To Tathagata, glorious transcendence, through subduing, I prostrate. To Tathagata, glorious manifestations, illuminating all, I prostrate. To Tathagata, all subduing, jewel lotus, I prostrate. Tathagata, Arhat, perfectly completed Buddha, king of the Lord of mountains, firmly seated on jewel and lotus, I prostrate. O you, 35 Buddhas and others, as many Tathagatas, Arhats, perfectly completed Buddhas as there are existing, sustaining and residing in all the world system of the 10 directions, O you Buddha Bhagawan, please pay attention to me. So here we call all the Buddhas to come to this place, and they're represented by the 35 Buddhas, and we ask them to come in order to be the witnesses of our own admission of our negative action. In this life and in all the states of rebirth in which I have circled in samsara, throughout beginless lives, whatever negative actions I have created, made others create, or rejoiced in the creation of, whatever possession of stupas, possessions of the Sangha, possessions of the Sangha of the 10 directions that I have appropriated, made others appropriate, or rejoice in the appropriation of, whichever of the five actions of immediate retribution I have done, caused to be done, or rejoicing in the doing of, whichever path of the 10 non-virtuous actions I have engaged in, cause others to engage in, or rejoice in the engaging in, whatever I have created, being obscured by these karmas, causes me and sentient beings to be born in the hell realms, in the animal realms, in the preta realms, in irreligious countries, as barbarians, as long-life gods, with imperfect faculties, holding wrong views, or not being pleased with Buddha's descent. In the presence of the Buddha Bhagawans who are transcendental wisdom, who are eyes, who are witnesses, who are valid, who see with omniscient consciousness, I, admitting and confessing all negativities, I will not conceal them nor hide them, and from now on in the future I will abstain and refrain from committing them again. O Buddha Bhagawans, please pay attention to me. In this life and in all other states of rebirth in which I have circled in samsara, throughout beginless lives, whatever roots of virtue I have created by generosity, even as little as giving just one mouthful of food to a being born in the animal realm, whatever roots of virtue I have created by guarding morality, whatever roots of virtue I have created by following pure conduct, whatever roots of virtue I have created by fully ripening sentient beings, whatever roots of virtue I have created by generating bodhicitta, and whatever roots of virtue I have created by unsurpassed transcendental wisdom. All this assembled and gathered, combined together, I fully dedicate to the unsurpassed, the unexalted, the higher than the higher, the superior to the superior. Thus I completely dedicate to the highest, perfectly complete enlightenment. Just as the previous Buddha Bhagawans have fully dedicated, just as the future Buddha Bhagawans will fully dedicate, and just as the presently abiding Buddha Bhagawans are fully dedicating, like that I too dedicate fully. I confess all negativities individually. I rejoice in all the merits. I urge to implore all Buddhas to grant my request. May I receive the highest, most sublime, transcendental wisdom. To the conquerors, the best of the humans, those who are living in the present time,
those who have lived in the past, and those who will likewise come, to all those who have qualities as vast as infinite ocean, with hands folded I approach for refuge. The negative actions of body are 3, those of speech are 4, and those of mind are 3. I openly admit every one of the 10 negative actions I have committed. Since beginningless time until now, the 10 negative actions and the 5 immediate karmas committed due to my mind being overpowered by disturbing emotions, I openly admit. The negative karmas, such as the 5 immediate karmas, were committed by me out of ignorance. And now, by reciting openly admitting downfalls, may all be quickly and completely purified. What I did in the past went against your words. Now, by seeing great fear, I go for refuge in you. Please quickly clear away my fear. By the power of the 3 poisons, the negative actions of the 3 doors, the 10 negative actions and the 5 immediate karmas, to the holders of the Pratimoksha self-liberation vows, to the Bodhisattvas, sons of the victorious, I openly admit all the transgressions of the 3 precepts. So, just going through the confession of the 35 Buddhas, we go to page 25. First we will take refuge, then we do the prostrations to all the 35 Buddhas. And then we ask all the Buddhas, please pay attention to me. Be here as my witness. And so listen clearly to what I am about to say. So we invite all the holy beings in front of us, the form of the 35 Buddhas, and then we say, please help me. Please listen to me. Please be my witness in this moment. In this life and in all the states of rebirth in which I have circled in samsara, throughout beginningless lives, so through all the lives that I have come up to now, whatever negative actions I have created, made others create, or rejoice in creation of, first of all, we openly admit all the negative actions, which means all the actions we did with anger, hatred, jealousy, envy, miserliness, attachment, and so on. Together with that, so we purify all the negative actions, general negative actions, and here we can add our own negative actions. We can remember about the negative actions that we have done. So even before doing the practice, we just remember a little bit, we reflect upon what are the negative actions that we have done, and with that clear in mind, we recite this part. And it says, whatever possession of stupas, possessions of the Sangha, or possession of the Sangha of the 10 directions that I have appropriated, made others appropriate or rejoice in appropriation of, I openly admit and regret. Here, it goes to a point which is quite specific and in our days, not so dangerous, but still there. One negative action that Buddha have made very clear that it's not good and that it's mostly dangerous in the monastic community is that to appropriate in an unappropriated way the goods of the Sangha. Which means, here in our modern times, we have this Dharma Center. We have many things, no? For example, we are here in the Gompa, so we have the cushion, there is the everything that we have around us, the carpets, the electricity, all of this. Who are these things for what? Who is the owner of all of this? We could say, oh, that is the center. Okay, the center means the association. Sure, there is some, from the point of view of law, there is someone there who has the name in the bank account and that owns these things. But in the essence, who is the real owner? It's the spiritual community. It's the Sangha. These things were offered to the Sangha. Actually, were offered to Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. So these things are owned by Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. In the moment that we use any of this with an inappropriate attitude, which means we use them for our own personal, mundane reason, without actually requesting permission, it's quite a heavy karma, actually. And in the monasteries, there is a lot about this. For example, monks, it's said to be stated, monks, this is Drupa Kunle was saying, that monks live walking in the between, they're able to fall in the pots of hell very easily. He was giving the example, because why? Monks live based on the donations that receive from people, no? But the people that make the donation, they say, can you please pray for me? And they make an offering. But if the money is used in an incorrect way and the praying is not done and it's just forgotten, that's a very heavy karma. That's why even, for example, it's very common in the monasteries, the lamas, they receive donations to pray for people like sick or the people that passed away. It's very, very traditional that in order to protect the lamas themselves from any negative karma in this way, all this money is kept separately, and after it's used maybe to help to build the temple, is used to do something that is of benefit for general benefit for all. It's not used for personal use in this way. So we could go on and on and on about this. Even Buddha even talked about some hell realms in which people can be reborn trapped inside objects. So like people, and then he was explaining that these were people that used objects that were of possession of the Sangha in an inappropriate way, and they were reborn trapped in such type of objects. There is one man who was trapped in a staircase, a stair, like a ladder, because he used in a very inappropriate way for his own personal mundane benefits without asking permission and so on. So, in essence, we need to be careful with the things that are of possession of the Sangha, not because there is not enough, or not because of the value, or because of this, but most of all because it's not ours, and it's of possession of something that is holy, which is the sacred, which is the actual Sangha, which is the actual spiritual path. It was given with that intention. So we really need to respect it and be careful not to use in an inappropriate way for our own personal benefit. Okay? So this is one point. The other point here, it's talking about the 5 actions of immediate retribution. The 5 actions of immediate retribution means killing one's own father, killing one's own mother, killing an arhat, which means someone that have gone out of samsara, creating a division in the Sangha, and taking away blood from a bodhisattva or an arhat or Buddha with the intention of harming him. Okay, let's say if a bodhisattva goes to the dentist and some blood comes out, there is no negative karma for the dentist. Okay? Instead, there is no intention to take away blood in this sense. But from these 5 actions, which are called actions of immediate retribution, is because it's said that the actions are so strong that after death, the person that have done these actions will go right away into hell. Because there is not even time in between for bardo. It's extremely fast. That's why the name is given in this way. Okay, it's a generalized name. It's not because it's possible to purify these actions also, but that's the name that is given. So if we look in our cases, I think it's quite difficult that we kill our father. It's difficult that we kill our mother. That we kill a Buddha is even more difficult. That we may create a division in the Sangha, less difficult. And take away blood from a Buddha or a Bodhisattva with the intention of harming, also not so possible, okay? But making division in the Sangha is more possible. And Buddha gave again and again explanations of why it's so important to keep the Sangha united regarding our own spiritual development. Because if there is a division in the Sangha, it creates, conflict. And where there is conflict, we are not able to develop our quality. We are not able really to meditate correctly, to go into the right stages of consciousness, and so on. So, and it breaks away the blessings also. It's quite heavy, actually, whenever there is a real division in the Sangha. So one time, even Trijang Rinpoche, he was giving a teaching. And what is a Sangha? It's a spiritual group of people that live together, that share together many different aspects of the life. A bigger of 4 people, that makes a division, okay? So we are a group, like here in Albagnano, or with all Rinpoche's disciples, there is like a Sangha, it's like a spiritual community. Sure, there is ups and downs, I like you, I don't like you, okay. But in essence, there should be unity. This is so important. Even one of the tantric vows is not to talk bad about one's own Vajra brothers and sisters, which are all those that have received initiations together from the same master as us. So which means all of us. Okay? So the reason why I was given so much emphasis is because it's something heavy. So this is something that we really need to be careful in our small way. Not to put any, if we maybe we're not able to create a real division in the Sangha, but we may put some little bit of energy into that. So wherever we see something similar to that, better to keep distance, better to not be part of it. Even there is even a saying that wherever a division in the Sangha occurs, the land where physically the division have happened becomes a burned land. Which means at that physical place, it's not possible to gain realizations by meditating. That's why Trichan Rinpoche, when he went to Kalimpong one time, I think it was Kalimpong or Darjeeling, something like that, he didn't give certain teachings of Tantra in one monastery because 50 years before there was a division of the Sangha there. So it's something that we really need to be careful. So if we see anything that is similar to the division of the Sangha, we shouldn't be part of it, at least. Because as it says here, whichever of the 5 actions of immediate retribution I have done, caused to be done, or rejoice in the doing of. Okay? When we talk about negative or positive actions, it's not only doing the actions directly, it's also inducing others to do the action or rejoicing about the action. That's why it said, for example, in the case of a war, the karma of killing of a soldier is much less than the karma of killing of the general. Maybe the general is never ever taking the gun in his hand, but he's giving the order to kill. So actually, he has a much, much heavier karma than all the soldiers together. Okay? That's why also imagine a president when he needs to give the order to go into war. It's very heavy. That's why there are many prayers in which say, may I never be reborn in positions of power, you know. It's better not to be in any position of this type of situation. So, it continues saying, whatever I have created, being obscured of, and one thing, rejoicing of. This is something that we need to be careful. Because sometimes we see something and rejoice about this negative action. This is also something we need to be careful. So whatever I have created, being obscured by these karmas, causes me, what's the result of these karmas by doing them? Causes me and other sentient beings, by doing these actions, to be born in the hell realms, in the animal realms, in the preta realms, in religious countries, as barbarians. When we talk about barbarians, we don't mean people living in the middle of the desert or a jungle or something like that. You know, there can be barbarians with a tie and a suit living in a big palace made out of glass or whatever, which means people that have no spirituality at all and have no basis of compassion. That's what it means. Okay? And there can be, so it can be in many places, in many ways. As long life gods, with imperfect faculties, holding wrong views, or not being pleased with Buddha's descent. These are some of these negative actions, the results of these negative actions. In the presence of the Buddha Bhagavans, who are transcendental wisdom, who are eyes, who are witnesses, who are valid, who see with omniscient consciousness, I am, admitting and confessing all these negativities. I will not conceal them nor hide them. And from now on, in the future, I will abstain and refrain from committing them again. This is the important point. The part before, we remember about all the negativity, and here we say, in front of you, all Buddhas, as my witness, you who see everything in myself, I don't even need to say words, you can see what I have done. I openly admit to you without hiding anything. I don't need to hide anything from you. I have done these mistakes. I openly admit. I generate a commitment in front of you not to repeat them again. Then the next part is in which we rejoice about the previous positive actions, and we dedicate the merits. O Buddhas, Bhagavans, please pay attention to me in this life and in all other states of rebirth in which I have circled in samsara throughout beginless lives, whatever roots of virtue I have created by generosity, even as little as giving just one mouthful of food to a being born in the animal realm, whatever roots of virtue I have created by guarding morality, Whatever roots of virtue I have created by following pure conduct, whatever roots of virtue I have created by fully ripening sentient beings, by guiding other sentient beings through their spiritual path, whatever roots of virtue I have created by generating bodhicitta, and whatever roots of virtue I have created by unsurpassed transcendental wisdom. All this assembled and gathered, combined together, I fully dedicate to the unsurpassed, the unexalted, the higher of the high than the higher, the superior to the superior. Thus, I completely dedicate to the higher, perfectly complete enlightenment of myself and all sentient beings. Just as the previous Buddha Bhagawans have fully dedicated, just as the future Buddha Bhagawans will fully dedicate, just as the present abiding Buddha Bhagawans are fully dedicating, like that I too dedicate fully. Which is basically saying, I don't know how to dedicate my merits, I just do as all the Buddhas have done. Wherever they have invested the merits, I also want to invest there. It's like if we get to a bank and we say, look, have some money to invest. Where do you want to invest? I have no idea really what's the best investment. So where have all the really people that know very much about investment done before? Okay, just put in the same place as them. Basically, it's like that. Then the next part is just like, the actual text ends here. And then the next part is like like a synthesis of the text. And it says, I confess all negativities individually. I rejoice in all the merits. I urge and implore all Buddhas to grant my request. May I receive the highest, most sublime transcendental wisdom. To the conquerors, the bearers of the humans, which mean all the Buddhas, those who are living in the present time, those who have lived in the past, and those who will likewise come, to all those who have qualities as vast as infinite ocean, with hands folded I approach for refuge. The negative actions of body are 3, those of speech are 4, and those of mind are 3. I openly admit every one of the 10 negative actions I have committed. I didn't explain before the 10 negative actions in English. I think no. So the 10 negative actions are basically the 3 negative actions of body, which is killing, taking away the life, stealing, possessing what has not been given to us and is not ours materially in an inappropriate way, and having a sexual misconduct. The part of all of this, we can go into details on the explanation. The one that sometimes creates a little bit more confusion is the part regarding the sexual misconduct, which is basically also related to the fact of not keeping the commitment we have with others and using the sexual conduct in a way that generates suffering. This is one of the main aspects. So there is a part of commitment, there is a part of respect. One of the ways also which is not correct is to use the sexual conduct in a way only for one's own benefit, in a very selfish way, not in a way based on at least an exchange of giving something to the other. So there are many of these aspects which are also there, okay? We could go on and on in details about all of this, but now just very quickly. Then we have the 4 negative actions of speech, which is lying, using words in a rough way, which means using words that actually generate suffering, okay? Using bad words to people and so on. Using our speech in a violent way, basically. So we have lying, violent speech, using words that create division between people. And the 4th one is idle speaking, just saying stupid things without much meaning. Okay, it's said to be the least negative action, but the one that we do the most. So put together, it's quite powerful somehow. Then we have the 3 negative actions of mind, which is napsim nösim lota, which is desiring what we cannot have. So when we want something that we know that we cannot have, this is one thing. The other thing is to wish the suffering of others, the mind of harm. And the 3rd is wrong views, which is basically not believing in the law of karma, not being aware and not believing in the continuity after death. For example, all the forms of racism and things like, okay, violence will bring benefit. All these are wrong views. Okay? In the Mahayana path, the most important of all is the 3 actions of mind. that we abandon them. These 10 negative actions, they are somehow, indicative. Because there are other negative actions that have not been cited here. Looking violently. There are many, many ways that we can generate negative action. It's not only a matter of the 10 negative actions itself. Okay? But, for example, a bodhisattva, if a bodhisattva acts out of pure love and compassion with wisdom, what he's not allowed is the 3 actions of mind. The actions of body and the actions of speech, if done with real pure motivation of love and compassion and wisdom, they are not negative. But this requires someone really to have the right motivation of love and compassion, really sincerely, purely. Okay? And really, if he sees for the need of benefit for others, these are not negative actions, but these are really exceptions of the exception of the exception. I openly admit every one of the 10 negative actions I have committed. Since begin last time until now, the 10 negative actions and the 5 immediate karmas committed due to my mind being overpowered by disturbing emotions, I openly admit. The negative karmas, such as the 5 immediate karmas, were committed by me out of ignorance, and now, by reciting openly admitting downfalls, may all be quickly and completely purified. What I did in the past went against your words. Now, by seeing great fear, I go for refuge in you. Please quickly clear away my fear. Which means all these negative actions I have done in the past, I have done because I have not followed the correct path to enlightenment. I haven't followed well the advices that you, Buddha, has given to me. So now I am full of fear because I see the results that will bring these actions to me. So I take refuge in you. Please help me to eliminate this fear that I have. Which means please help me to purify my own negativities. By the power of the 3 poisons, ignorance, aversion, and attachment, the negative actions of the 3 doors, body, speech, and mind, the 10 negative actions and the 5 immediate karmas, to the holder of Pratimoksha self-liberation vow and the bodhisattvas, sons of the victorious, I openly admit all the transgressions of the 3 precepts. The 3 precepts are the vows of the Pratimoksha, such as the monastic vows, not killing, not stealing, and so on, the bodhisattva vows, and the tantric vows. Okay? So I openly admit any downfall I did of my own commitment. The point here is for us really to not only reciting these words, they have a benefit. Lama Tsongkhapa himself recited exactly the same words that we have just read. Thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of times. So, these are blessed words. So, this for sure we receive a benefit in doing this. But the most important is not a recitation, it's actually generating the mind in which we acknowledge in front of the holy beings our own negative actions. We make the commitment not to repeat, and we rejoice in the virtuous action. That's the most important thing that we need to generate. Okay? So, in this way, we briefly conclude this part of the transgression of the 35 Buddhas. Okay? As I say, time runs quite fast, actually. Ala, está preparado para fazer puja hoje? No. So, my idea was actually to do also the practice of Vajrasattva today and the fire puja, but I think I will keep the practice of Vajrasattva for tomorrow morning explanation, so we can do it really nicely and slowly and so on. And we will do one thing then. Let me think well. I think it's better if now we go through some explanations and then we go through the Guru Puja. And tomorrow we do 2 fire pujas. One in the beginning in the morning as we start and one in the end. Okay? For a very practical reason, basically. Now it's quite cold. And then if we go out, then I think it's difficult for everybody to come back for Guru Puja and the other things. So somehow I think we stay, we do the explanation of the visualization and so on. And tomorrow we do the 2 pujas as we have said originally. Okay? So, one important thing is that whatever practice we do of purification, the actual practice of purification is not only the recitation. For example, tomorrow morning we will see the practice of Vajrasattva in detail. And it's an extremely beautiful and powerful practice. And but still, the practice of Vajrasattva, if I recite the mantra Vajrasattva thousands and thousands and thousands of times, it's wonderful because the mantra itself has some power because it has been recited in this way for centuries and centuries by great practitioners and so on. So there is some blessing in the actual words. It's not the same result if I do Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya or if I do Om Ba Bi Bo Bo Nya Nya Nyo Nyo. It's not the same thing. Okay? There is a special energy in these words, in the vibration of the sounds. There is a blessing that comes together from the lineage, how it was transmitted. Okay? These words have been said exactly in this way for centuries. If you think about the confession of the 35 Buddhas, Lama Tsongkhapa have recited it thousands and thousands and thousands of times exactly in the same words that we have here. It's really powerful in this sense. But only reciting is not enough. If I do all of this without opening my heart towards others, without really admitting and openly admitting my negative actions, without having the commitment not to repeat such actions again, I will not purify my negativities. So the purification for both practices of sutra and tantra comes through the 4 powers of purification. The 4 opponent powers, which is open our heart towards others, sentient beings and holy beings, openly admit our negative actions, commit ourselves not to repeat them again, and then do something to purify. The actual mantra and visualization and practice of Vajrasattva is the 4th power of purification. Such is the purification of the 5 elements or the practice of Vajradhaka. For example, the fire puja of Vajradhaka, Atisha used to do it every day of his life. Not with a big fire. He would just have a small fireplace with some coal, no? And then he would throw the seeds inside a little bit. Not much, but every day. My teacher in Tibet, the abbot of Tashilhunpo, he does Vajradhaka fire puja every day. So it's something that, these great practitioners, they are doing these practices every day. Atisha would do purification and accumulation of merit every day. For example, he would do the practice of making offerings in front of the altar, water offerings, every day. And when he was very old, by the end of his life, he had a sickness and his legs were very weak, so they would tremble. He was not able to stand up so well. So what happened is that one day there he was standing in front of the altar, making the water offerings, trembling. And then one of his attendants came and said, "Oh, Master, please, you can sit down. I will make the offerings for you." And then he answered, "Would you like also to eat in my place instead of me?" The accumulating merits, doing the offerings for him was more important even than eating in this sense. Until I can do, I will do it. And the same also for the purification. So these practices are very powerful, very important, but one of the most important things is to have constancy. I don't believe personally in the miracle that you have something in your head, and then you, by the power of whatever, and then I will give you the big blessing. Sure, that can be a blessing and can help to purify, but by this you will purify all your negativities. That everybody's hurrying to have this in their head. I personally do not believe in that. I believe that there are blessings that can help us to purify, sure. But the purification is done only truly, throughoutly, if we have the 3 other powers of purification. If we really open our heart, if we openly admit our negativities, and we have a commitment not to repeat again, then there are many methods of purification very powerful that we can use. But they become powerful in the moment that we have the previous 3 powers there. Okay? So, in every practice, there are 3 levels of the practice, which is what to recite, what to visualize, and which state of consciousness to generate. The 3 is like the most easy one is what to recite, then comes what to visualize, then comes the state of consciousness to generate. And the power of them is also the same way. The most powerful one is the state of consciousness, then the visualization, then the recitation. Okay? So the practices are not only recitation. There is visualization and there are states of consciousness that we need to generate. And in the practices of purification, the main state of consciousness are the 3 powers of purification. Opening our hearts towards other people, sentient beings and holy beings. Openly admitting our negative actions and having the commitment not to repeat such actions again. Okay? So now we will do the Guru Puja. Today we have explained the most important aspects of purification, even though we have explained them briefly, which are the 4 opponent powers of purification, generating the correct motivation, what is karma, why to purify, and so on. So now we'll do the Guru Puja also because the preliminary practices are important in the practice of purification. And then we'll put some emphasis in the part of purification within the Guru Puja. And then after that, we will do tomorrow morning the Guru Puja at 9. Without the tzok tomorrow morning. And then we will just do the part up to the part of purification of Vajrasattva. Then I will explain the practice of Vajrasattva. And then after that, we will explain then I explain the fire puja of Vajradaka. We do the fire puja. And after the fire puja, we'll do the practice of Vajrasattva. Okay?
Jetsun lame kutse raptenchi namkar tinle chochur gepadang losan tempe drume sasumgi drove munsel tatu ne gyurchi nimo dele tsendele nime kuyan delekshin Kuncho sumge trashi